Hey everybody, today I'm going to share with you one of the health risks of dog ownership in our society, and it's E. coli. So, dog owners are a lot more likely to have a house full of E. coli because they have an E. coli factory, the dog. And how do we know this? What is one of the ways that we know dogs have a big source of E. coli in their body? Well, dogs themselves often have these UTIs, urinary tract infections. And these are common in dogs. According to vetster.com and some other sources, 14% of dogs will experience a UTI. And these are just the ones that they know of. These are the ones that make it to Pet MD and make it to the Kennel Club statistics. But let's look at something else about this. Okay, they are also fully aware that these are underreported, because people don't want to spend $300 just to go have their dog pee in a container and have it tested, so they'll just tolerate it, and also oftentimes, as I'm showing you here in the blue highlight, they will have high concentrations of E. coli in their urine, and they might not have any symptoms, or people just don't understand the symptoms anyways, because dogs are constantly peeing all over the place, and they might not even realize it's because they have a urinary tract infection. So, like I was talking about, this comes from E. coli. So, however, where does the E. coli come from? It comes from the other waste producing, exhaust port in the back of these nasty dogs. So not only are they infecting themselves with E. coli, now it's in their urine, it comes from their feces, and then they're just squirting it all over your house, all over everywhere, your city runoffs, everywhere else. So yes, dogs get E. coli infections in their body, and it shows because of these UTIs, urinary tract infections. So that is one way we know these filthy beasts are just an E. coli factory that we put in our house next to our kids, next to our food producing and packing people. So E. coli infections are not just like a joke. It's not just something you can get rid of real quick. But there's a lot of health issues: diarrhea, cramps, hemolytic uremic syndrome, which can cause kidney failure and other serious health problems. Young children and the elderly are the most susceptible to this. So, again, as we've noticed in dog culture before, elderly people and children are the targets of all of the nasty stuff that comes with dog owners, or the presence of dogs. Like attacks, trip falls. Senior citizens are experiencing trip falls the worst because of the presence of dogs. a little side note on dogs and senior citizens. Did you know that having the presence of a dog, you can get your Social Security denied? That's another interesting one. We'll have to do a video on that one later. But let's go to our next slide. So one of the common things that is often recalled is prepackaged items. So prepackaged items, as we're looking at right here, they get recalled because of E. coli. So what are we talking about with those type of things? So this is what we're talking about. These type of things like salads, lettuce and stuff. You get your salad kit at the store, the little meal, that kind of stuff. So these are often the ones that end up with E. coli being found in them. But who packs these things? Humans pack these. And where are these humans coming from? They're coming from dog households. They're coming from cars that are filled with dogs. I'm sure they wear probably a smock or like an apron or gloves, and they're probably supposed to wash their hands often. But think about it. They're coming into work to pack these type of meals right here, and their clothing is covered with dander and feces particles and hair. They probably have stickers on their car that says dog hair included, hee hee hee. And so do you wonder how E. coli can get into all this stuff? There's one route that it can easily get into this stuff. So here's just some examples of what I'm talking about. How people are just covering their clothes, everything in their house is covered with dog fur, dander, the goop out of their eyes, the saliva, the feces that's coming out of right here, the urine particles out of right here, and they just lay on the couch, spread their legs open, and let this E. coli factory rub up all on them. So you're putting E. coli right up against or very close to the orifices in your body that can get infected by E. coli. People do this all the time. They got to be up on the couch with this giant nasty dog all right up in their freaking crotch area. That's freaking gross, man. It's like an E. coli pillow. That's what dogs are. It's an E. coli pillow. So one of the symptoms of E. coli is diarrhea. Okay. So childhood diarrhea is common and it's increasing. Here's a little research summary. But this isn't good. It can make you really sick. And if you look at some of the other research on this, diarrhea is bad. Like some of the numbers, if you look this up, I'll put it in the description. But notice this. It says the second leading cause of death among children under 5 globally. So, this is nasty. Diarrhea is terrible. It's all about being exposed to feces and poor sanitation. And it didn't used to be a big thing in USA, like compared to like third world countries where kids were around like a lot of waste products. But kids are around waste products now. They're constantly around poor sanitation. So back to what we were looking at before, it's just like I said. Kids are constantly around poor sanitation. All these kids have their face and their clothes around E. coli face, an E. coli butt, and an E. coli urethra, squirting urethra particles all over their freaking home, and then they see adults like this cuddling and kissing on dogs, like this lady right here. Got to have a dog laying in your crotch. Like, why do they always have to have the dog in their crotch? Freaking weird, guys. But, this is how it ends up. E. coli back here, E. coli up here, and look, both of their mouths are open, sucking in those E. coli particles, along with CO2 and everything else. Like this picture right here, kids see this, and they think this is the way to live. Let me give you a little E. coli kiss, just rubbing up on my E. coli pillow. Freaking gross. Another way we can demonstrate that childhood diarrhea is a huge issue, just go to one of your online marketplaces that sells this type of stuff. Childhood diarrhea medications are huge. The market for this is huge. If you go look up any of the financial websites, all of these type of products right here to fix childhood diarrhea, the market for these is giant. So of course they want you to have dogs. They can control you, and they can sell you this stuff right here. Speaking of the market for diarrhea, here's some of the stuff. Expected to grow to increasing awareness and demand for effective treatments. Increasing demand for effective treatments. That means everybody's going to want to buy more over-the-counter stuff instead of getting rid of the E. coli factory that is probably sleeping in their bed right now or cuddled up in their car with the AC on while they prepackage some salads for people or whatever else. And there's plenty of easily findable information about this. Depending on what source you look at, like this one, 1.3 million of all ages worldwide is related to a diarrhea problem. So this isn't something that you want to have in your house, guys. This isn't something you want to be spreading all over the place. Letting your dog piss and shit in your neighbor's garden, people stopping on the side of the road, letting dogs piss and shit in their farm areas and stuff. This is nasty stuff. And last but not least, let me show you guys this right here. You see how it says FSA or HSA eligible? That basically means you can buy it and it's kind of like a tax write-off. There's a whole lot of information about this, but let's just go over to here. So the FSA is your flexible spending account. And with that, you can get reimbursed. So it says right here, the IRS determines which expenses can be reimbursed. So basically, you can write that off. You can write off of those medications. So think about that all across our society. Dogs are definitely contributing to some of these sicknesses. There's no way that they're not. They bring all this nasty bacteria into our homes and they make themselves sick, okay? Dogs give themselves urinary tract infections through their own feces. And then they spread that bacteria with their urine, okay? So there's no way that some of these products right here are not being used to correct problems brought into our life by dogs. And it's becoming a taxpayer burden because, like I showed you with this FSA, these people can write this stuff off. If they have a bunch of allergies, they can go buy allergy meds and probably write some of that off on some of these other accounts. And it's all because their house is full of dogs. So you're being forced to pay for everybody else's nasty habit. And that has been our look at these E. coli factories that are proven to be full of E. coli. They make themselves sick. And there's no way that they're not making us sick by bringing all this extra crap into our homes. See you guys later.